Alright, I think one of the hardest things about making these damn videos is setting up the camera. It takes me longer than it should to set up. And so if you really love me and want to support my film career, buy me a motherfucking tripod. So today, we are gonna get into story time. The most requested was sleeping with street rats. And I know by the title of this video, you probably think that I'm gonna be shading ex-lovers. You'd be wrong. For another time. This is the story time where I found myself, along with Jaybird, in San Francisco, homeless. And it was a choice that we made collectively with our genius minds. We put them together and we devised this whole plan, and we were gonna go and make it, you know? We're from the ground up. So before this, Justin and I had just gotten into our own place. We were pretty much living the life that we thought that we wanted to live, and we still found ourselves saying, you know, what's next? What's next? Like, we're not fulfilled. We're here. We have food. We have shelter. We can do whatever we want, and we're still not happy. We're still not fulfilled. So what's next? I wasn't working. I had a job lined up, and it just didn't end up working out. Justin got fired from his job, and so he was looking for a job, and the stars weren't aligning with that either. Basically, we ran out of money, and so we're like, okay, if we're gonna be homeless and if we're gonna do this, then we need to get somewhere where it's warmer, because if we're homeless in Reno, we are gonna fucking freeze and die. We cleaned out all of our shit so we could get the deposit back on our place, and we ended up giving away, yeah, we didn't even sell anything, we just gave it away. We gave everything that we owned, that we had collected, that we'd worked so hard for. We just gave it away, threw it away, and we ended up having 2 backpacks, one for him and one for me, of the essentials. And you know, we had our underwear, maybe 2 outfits each, maybe, and we had our bags packed, cleaned our shit, got our deposit, bought a bus ticket to San Francisco, and we were on our way. Looking back, this story seems so fucking wild because just the naiveness of our thinking. Justin and I are so alike that whatever we think, you know, we're just gonna agree with each other. We think each other is just fucking geniuses. And the only problem with that is when you don't have any outside influence or any support system that you're relying on, you know, it's just a recipe for not very good decisions. We got on the bus, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, we leave Reno, and we're super optimistic, like bright-eyed, so looking forward to our new adventure, just, you know, thinking it's gonna be the easiest thing. I'm gonna make my art on the street. We're gonna find cute little spots. Justin said, oh my god, I love camping. It's gonna be like camping. We get into San Francisco around 6 o'clock. It's dark by now. We dropped off right in the middle of downtown San Francisco. We walk through, and immediately we see, you know, a busy-ass street, and people have tents on the side of the road. And we're like, okay, like, it's a thing. Like, we just need to find a tent. It'll be awesome. Yada yada yada. So we continue walking. We walk. We're just, you know, kind of looking for like a spot to sit down. Get into Chinatown. We walk past Chinatown because the first park we stopped into, the ground was wet. So we're like, all right, this is not gonna work. Next park, whatever. And after, you know, walking maybe 3 miles in the fucking San Francisco streets, we land upon this park. It's not really a park. It's like it's a park, but it's not a public park. It's for an apartment complex. And there's a nice little willow tree. There's a Safeway across the street. There's a little spot. I'm like, all right, that's it. Like, we can chill here. And always looking up still. You know, I thought the universe was just sending divine signs. I was like, what a beautiful tree. We're right where we need to be. I'm sitting there. Justin runs over to across the street to go and pick up something from the store. You know, I have my pepper spray. I'm just like, okay, nobody better fuck with me. Within 5 minutes of sitting there by myself, this guy comes by on a bike, and like, I'm like, okay, he's gonna say hi, like, whatever. He like says hi. I'm just like, hey, how you doing? Good. All right. And then immediately back down, you know, not interested, made that clear. And then he kind of walks over maybe 10 feet away from me. He parks his bike and he pulls down his pants and just starts peeing. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then he turns around, looks at me, gets on his bike, and he's like, sorry, I had to go. And I'm like, no worries, it's fine, I understand. And then he's like, what are you doing tonight? Da da da. I'm like, I'm waiting for homeboy, gonna be back real soon. Thank you, have a good night. And it's like trying to continue on. Thank you, have a good night. Just wasn't in the mood. Another couple comes by maybe like an hour later. Mind you, this is like 9 o'clock at night, still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You can tell they're like on the streets too. They're looking through the garbage and they have this big-ass dog. And immediately I just get a feeling, because we're like laying down, we're cuddled up, and I hear them. My woman senses are like, ding, 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 ding. Not safe, not good, time to go now. And the more that they're around us, the more sketchy they're being. And they have this big ass pit bull and they throw a ball towards us. And the dog is like literally running towards us. You know, it's like an intimidation tactic. You know what I mean? I could get you if I wanted to. And they're just trying to play it off like, oh, like he loves his ball, da 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 da. It's like, you ain't slick. Like, it's time to go, Justin. Like, we gotta jet. 12 o'clock by now, and we pack up all of our shit. We have our backpacks and we start walking to look for another spot to sleep. And this is when it occurred to me, homeless people are not welcome to just sleep anywhere. They're homeless, you know, there's no place for homeless people. And as we're walking, you know, I'm exhausted, I'm hungry. We don't have any money for food. We have like a couple snacks. We just continue walking and walking. And this is when it really occurred to me, you know, like it doesn't feel good to not have somewhere to go home to sleep to. It doesn't feel good to not have a bed. It doesn't feel good to not be accepted. I just felt super isolated and alone, just at the prospect of not having anywhere to sleep that night. Anyway, so we continue walking and we end up in Chinatown. And there's this little plaza area and we see this old man. He's sleeping there, he's chilling. So we're like, okay, this is not too sketchy of a place. We'll just post up on one of these benches. So we post up on these benches and there's like a little dirt area behind us. Immediately within the first 5 minutes of us sitting on these benches, we hear someone peeing like directly behind us. So we look and literally in this back corner, old dude was just taking a whiz. So we're like, okay, maybe we should move. So we move to a different bench to sit down. At this point, it's really just like, can I please just get a couple hours of sleep? It's freezing, it's super cold. It was a misconception to think that San Francisco was gonna be too much warmer. It definitely wasn't Reno. Still cold as shit. Anyways, we're chilling there and I'm like sitting cuddled up on Justin's lap. I look behind us and there's just like sketchy people going up and down the road, like checking in cars. There's someone behind, there's like a little alleyway down into stairs into this little section. Someone goes in there and starts peeing. As we're sitting there, I look over and we're on this bench and across this plaza, there's a little pigeon coop area. I don't know if they were raising birds or what, but there's a little pigeon coop area and I'm looking and I see a man up there and he pulls down his pants, has a plastic bag, puts it over his ass and just starts shitting in the bag. And I'm like, Justin, look at this, look. And like the guy like kind of noticed us like noticing him, so he moved his direction, but you could still fucking hear his, you know, like shit, and then the wrinkle of the plastic bag, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then while this is happening, there's fucking rats everywhere, crawling over here, crawling over there. Oh my God, it was wild. So we're like, okay, gotta move. This spot's not good. We continue walking. We walk and we walk and now it's maybe like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. We end up back in the park that we initially started at under the willow tree. And there's a security guard across the street and he comes over and he lets us know, you know, we thought that he was gonna have us move because he was really, you know, just staring at us, like checking out what we were doing. And we sit down under this willow tree and he's like, hey guys, just so you know, don't lay down in the grass because the sprinklers are gonna come on unless you want to shower. We lay there for a little while and we end up getting maybe like an hour of sleep, and he comes back over and you know, he lets us know like, you guys can't sleep here. He could have told us before, you know, he was just being really nice, I think, because he saw like the state that we were in and that we just needed a couple hours of sleep. So he let us stay there, but eventually he's like, all right, you guys gotta go. So we get up and we start walking some more. So I'm like, all right, we need to get to the ocean. We need to get down to the pier. I just have a good feeling about that. So we're like at Pier 1. We walk all the way down to Pier 39. It's like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning by now. We're starving. We're exhausted. Our dreams are, you know, quite literally crushed. Neither of us had anticipated the struggles of being homeless. We find this little park by the ocean. There's this little swimming area and then this long like concrete bench, this little amphitheater at the end of Pier 39. And there's a park up there with a couple benches. And as we're walking up past the benches, there's a fucking skunk right in front of us. So we're like, oh shit, okay, we gotta turn around. So we turn around and we get like 20 feet, 30 feet away from the skunk and we go and sit down on a bench. Like, all right, we need to be alert and fucking aware of this skunk because we don't want no problems. So we're sitting there talking to each other, listening to the ocean. We're just like, please fucking can it be daylight already? That was probably the longest night I've ever fucking experienced. Anyways, we're sitting there and our backpacks are on the ground and we're on a bench, and it came around the bench and it was like 2 feet away from us. It comes creeping out on the side of the bench, the fucking skunk. And we're just looking at it like, fuck, we gotta go. So I jump up and I fucking run, leave my bag. I like run out of the way, and thank God the skunk got scared and it didn't spray. It just kind of ran away to the other side. Oh my God. If that would have happened, I quite literally would have just fucking jumped in the bay and like drowned myself. No, not really, but that would have been tragic. Anyways, so we're like, all right, this spot's not good, on to the next spot. We end up on this little concrete ledge overlooking the ocean. There's some boats out there. It's really beautiful. Ghirardelli Square is right behind us. And we just sit there while the sun is coming up. We realize this is not the move, that we need to get home. Just the whole experience was incredible. It was one of the most challenging things that I've ever been through. It made me realize that I can accomplish so much more than I've ever thought, even just physically. I was more tired than I've ever been, more exhausted than I've ever been physically. I was hungrier than I've ever been. Just the prospect of not having anywhere to actually go to the bathroom, having to walk super fucking long just to find a toilet that you can use. It definitely wasn't a good move. But things that I learned coming away from it were huge. Just gratitude for having a home, for having a support system, for having food in general, having these freedoms. Whoa, it was just wild. We just went through it, man. And as the sun came up and it was daylight, we decided to walk back, and we ended up getting enough money for a bus ticket home, and we came home the next day. We probably lasted 14 hours in San Francisco. Holy shit, it sounds like weak sauce, but you know, it is what it is. And coming back home, it was just quite the grounding experience. Because once you're stripped to literally nothing, because I mean, I've been stripped to nothing mentally, emotionally. I've been in the deepest, darkest places of, it's a completely different experience being stripped down to that physically and materialistically. We learned a lot. Because when I had to come home, I had to humble myself, and I had to reach out to people, and I needed to ask for help. And that was just the biggest kicker, and you know, it really shouldn't have been. I just think that we're raised to be shameful of asking for help, especially when you're treated as a burden, or you know, just the financial responsibility being carried upon you. That's something that you really have to let go of when it comes down to like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna live? You know, am I gonna starve? Am I gonna freeze to death? Am I going to get snatched up by someone on the street? These are things that I was taken, these are places that I was taken to in my mind and with my body that I never really thought that I would have had to go to. I'm super fucking grateful that when I came home, I did have help and I did have people to support me. And I will be forever indebted to those people, not only for the things that they've done for me, but for the lessons that they've taught me in love and in relying on people with support systems. I came home and I was telling my girl about this experience, and she immediately fucking brought up, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Did you not even think about those things? And quite literally, no. Like, I really went into it so naive, so, you know, just bright-eyed. I'm gonna create, I'm gonna make hella money, I'm just gonna set up on the pier and paint and do this and do that, and oh my god, what a delusional fucking child I was. Really made me value life, value myself, value my body for the things that it's taken me through. My body held on so much tougher and harder than I ever thought it could have. When I was exhausted and wanted to give up, my spirit, my human will of, well, no, it's either die or keep moving. Quite literally. And like, it doesn't seem that extreme, but you know, in the moment it is. When you're hungry like that, when you're cold like that, when you realize you don't have anywhere to go, when you don't have anywhere to sleep, when you're surrounded by piss and shit and sketchy people and rats, when you're sleeping with street rats, reality hits you hard as fuck. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it, because I can look at people now, and I'm not shading anyone, because we've all been through our own experiences. It's just I see people, you know, worried about AirPods and like the statusy, like the way that it makes them look. And it's like, at the end of the day, homeboy, homegirl, that really doesn't fucking matter. Like, you're in a realm of existing that's like a little bit detached from reality, because at the end of the day, reality is this, it's living. It's how am I going to live? And if you've been blessed enough to have been provided for your entire life and have places to sleep and have places to eat and your belly's always full, you will not get the value of having a full belly when you haven't been eating for weeks, when you've eaten literally a top ramen a day for weeks. You will value life so much more. Just being warm, being able to sleep on something comfortable, being able to have a blanket. These are the little things in life that carry so much value. And I wish that other people would go out and experience these things. I would not recommend, you know, selling all of your shit and going to be homeless to gain this perspective. But, you know, for me, that's what it took. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so incredibly grateful for it, because yeah, it was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, but it was also one of the most liberating experiences. It really helped me value just the beauty of life. And I don't know how many times I can say it. I shouldn't say it anymore, because I'm just rambling on at this point. But if there's anything taken away from this story time besides the laughs and the what the fucks of what were you thinking, it's that life is valuable. People are valuable. Your loved ones are valuable. Please don't ever take for granted the fact that you get to eat, the fact that you get to come home and sleep. We live in a world, especially in the United States, our poorest of poor is still in the 5% of the world. There are so many human beings out there that don't get these luxuries. And for you to, you know, just shit on them like you just expect them is quite disrespectful. It's quite disrespectful. Not just to your creator, not just to your parents and your ancestors, but to yourself. The things that you have had to be worked hard for. Please don't ever take for granted this beautiful life that you live. Be grateful every day. And you know what? Also, that experience was a major test of faith, because in the weeks leading up to it, I was receiving messages through my divine intuition in my material world, signs leading me that this is where I needed to go. And I formulated this whole thought about, okay, I need to go and do this for this. But at the end of the day, the lesson that the universe was trying to teach me is that, you know, you need to leap. If it doesn't make sense, it may not make sense, but you need to follow your heart and you need to go there. If you're being called to do this or that, and nobody else is on board, or nobody else, you know, thinks you're crazy, everyone thinks you're crazy, but in your heart you feel like, no, I'm being called, I need to go, then fucking go. You know, you'll learn what you need to learn. Never did I imagine before I went that that was a lesson that I had to learn, but it was a lesson learned way more valuable than what I thought it was gonna be. So at the end of the day, it's really about taking a leap of faith, being super fucking grateful, listening to your intuition,